My girlfriend burst into my bedroom and found me in bed with her older half-sister. For several seconds, Lily Whitmore just stood in the doorway. Her face went white, then red, then white again. "What the hell are you doing?" I looked at her. Beside me, Claire Whitmore, the older sister Lily had spent years looking down on, didn't even bother pretending to panic. Claire pulled the blanket higher over herself, leaned against my shoulder, and kissed me directly on the mouth. Then she looked at her younger sister and smiled. "Isn't it obvious?" Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Claire, you shameless." Claire cut her off. "Oh, and Lily. What? From now on, you might want to start calling Ethan your brother-in-law." Lily looked at me like I had stabbed her. The crazy part, 3 days earlier, I still thought Lily was the woman I was going to marry. I had loved her for more than 9 years. We had been together for 7. I had designed her wedding dress with my own hands, and on the day she was supposed to try it on, she left me sitting alone in a bridal boutique for 5 hours because another man was celebrating his birthday. So no, the story didn't begin in that bedroom. It began with an empty chair, a white dress, and a door that never opened. I sat in the bridal boutique staring at the entrance. 5 hours. That was how long I waited. The staff had stopped asking whether my fiancé was coming. At first, one of the consultants kept smiling politely. Maybe traffic. An hour later, "Would you like some coffee?" 2 hours later, "Would you like us to call her?" By hour 4, nobody said anything anymore. They just gave me that look. You know the one. The polite, sympathetic look people give a guy who is clearly being humiliated, but hasn't admitted it yet. The white lights in the boutique were almost painfully bright. Behind me hung the wedding dress I had designed for Lily. Not chosen from a catalogue. Designed. Every line. Every detail. I worked in fashion design, and I had spent months sketching that dress because I wanted the final piece to feel like our relationship. Simple at first glance. Elegant. Clean. A little restrained. But beautiful when you looked closely. I kept imagining Lily walking through the door, complaining dramatically about being late, then disappearing into the dressing room and coming back wearing it. The door stayed closed. At exactly 5 hours, my phone finally rang. "Lily." I answered. "Ethan." Her voice was rushed. "I had something come up today, so I can't make the fitting." I looked at the empty entrance. "You couldn't tell me 5 hours ago." There was a pause. "I forgot." "Of course." Then she brightened like she had solved the problem. "But don't worry." I asked Claire to go instead. I sat up. "Claire, my sister. I know who Claire is. You two are almost the same build anyway." I stared at the wedding dress. Lily continued casually. "Have her try it on for me. You can check the proportions and make whatever adjustments you need." There were about 10 things I wanted to say. I swallowed every one of them. "Okay, great. I've got to go." The call ended. No explanation, no apology beyond something came up. Not even a happy anniversary, because apparently Lily had forgotten that too. That day wasn't just the wedding dress fitting. It was our 7th anniversary. I had specifically chosen that date because I wanted the whole thing to feel romantic. 7 years together. Wedding dress. Wedding plans. The beginning of the next chapter. Instead, I was sitting under fluorescent lights wondering why my future wife couldn't spare 5 minutes to call me. The boutique door finally opened, but the woman who walked in wasn't Lily. It was Claire. Black heels clicked softly against the floor. She wore a fitted dark coat, her long hair loosely tied behind her head. And she had that same composed expression she always seemed to wear. Claire was only 1 year older than Lily, but they had never felt like sisters. Lily entered a room like sunlight. She laughed loudly, talked to everyone, made friends in 5 minutes. Claire was different, quieter, cooler, the kind of woman who could stand silently in the corner and somehow make everyone else wonder whether they were underdressed. She stopped in front of me. "Ethan." "Claire." Lily asked me to try on the dress. I nodded. A consultant took her into the fitting room. A few minutes later, the curtain opened, and I forgot what I was going to say. Claire stepped out wearing the dress I had designed. The long white fabric fell perfectly around her. Her hair was loose enough that 2 strands rested near her shoulders. No necklace, no elaborate jewelry. She didn't need any. She looked right. That was the uncomfortable word. She looked right. Claire walked to the mirror and stood beside me. Our reflections appeared together. She tilted her head. "This dress works beautifully with your suit." I nodded automatically. That was what I had designed it to do. Then Claire added, "But it doesn't suit Lily." I looked at her reflection. "What?" Claire didn't turn. She kept looking at the dress. "Lily likes princess dresses. She likes a lot of things. She likes attention." Her voice remained calm. She likes dramatic skirts, big details, sparkle. She grew up being treated like a princess. She likes looking like one. I said nothing. Claire finally met my eyes through the mirror. This dress is elegant, restrained, quiet. She touched the fabric lightly. It isn't her. Something about that sentence bothered me. Maybe because I had spent months designing a dress for Lily without asking whether Lily would actually love it, or maybe because Claire looked so natural standing there that I suddenly wondered who I had really designed it for. I shook the thought away. Claire changed back into her clothes. Normally, that would have been the end of our interaction. Claire and I weren't close. Almost every meaningful conversation we had ever had happened because Lily failed to show up somewhere that should have told me something. It didn't. Not yet. Outside the boutique, Claire leaned casually against her car. The late afternoon breeze moved through her hair. Come somewhere with me. I frowned. Where? She opened the driver's door. Somewhere that might answer the question you're pretending you don't have. I stared at her. Claire smiled slightly. She already knew. So I got in. We barely spoke during the drive. Claire didn't ask why I trusted her. I didn't ask where we were going. The road eventually took us away from downtown and toward the coast. When she parked, I heard music, then cheering. We walked far enough to see the beach, and there was Lily, barefoot on the sand, singing. Not for me, for Mason Reed. Mason had been one of Lily's classmates in college. Good-looking, confident, the kind of guy who always seemed to have an instrument nearby. He played guitar beautifully, performed at school events, and had enough natural charm that people remembered him after meeting him once. Lily had rehearsed with him for university events. They performed together. Their classmates used to call them the campus couple. I hated that joke. Lily knew I hated it. Whenever I got uncomfortable, she would hug me. Ethan, stop listening to idiots. Then she would kiss me. You're the only man I love. And because I wanted to believe her, I did. On that beach, though, she wasn't looking at Mason like a casual friend. Her eyes were soft. Too soft. The song ended. Everyone around them cheered. Then somebody shouted, "Kiss him." Someone else joined. Kiss, kiss, kiss. The chant spread. I stood frozen. Lily laughed shyly. Then she rose onto her toes and kissed Mason on the lips. The crowd exploded. She pulled away, cheeks pink, and smiled at him. Happy birthday, Mason. For a second, everything around me went quiet. I couldn't hear the ocean. Couldn't hear the cheering. Couldn't even hear my own breathing. All I could see was the woman I planned to marry kissing another man while the wedding dress I had made for her sat back in a boutique across town. Claire's voice came softly beside me. I told you. I looked at her. The dress doesn't suit her. I turned around. Let's go. Claire seemed surprised. That's it. What else do you want me to do? Ask her. No. Confront Mason. No. You don't want an explanation. I looked back once. Lily was still smiling at him. No. I already had the answer. The truth was, Mason hadn't appeared out of nowhere. I had known for years. I just didn't want to call it what it was. Whenever Lily left me waiting, Mason seemed to be somewhere nearby. When university held an anniversary performance, she rehearsed with him. When his band played, she went to support him. When he had some problem, she disappeared. When he was sick, she worried. When his friends needed help organizing something, somehow Lily became involved. And every time I complained, she had an answer. He's just a friend. You're overthinking. We've known each other 4 years. You know I love you. The bracelet on her wrist bothered me more than I ever admitted. Mason had brought it back from a famous temple. Nothing expensive, just a simple braided cord, supposedly blessed for safety. Lily loved pearls, diamonds, designer pieces, beautiful things, but she wore Mason's cheap little bracelet every day. When I asked why, she laughed. It was thoughtful. Then she touched it. If somebody gives you something with good intentions, isn't it rude to reject it? Years passed. She never took it off. Not once. On the drive home from the beach, Claire suddenly asked, "Have you really thought about marrying Lily?" I stared ahead. What kind of question is that? A simple one. It doesn't feel simple. Claire pulled the car to the side. Then she turned toward me. For once, there was nothing teasing in her expression. "Ethan, are you still sure you want Lily to be your wife?" A week earlier, I would have laughed. Of course, I had imagined our wedding 1,000 times. Lily walking toward me. White dress, flowers, her bright smile. My entire future wrapped into one image. Now, I wasn't sure whether her heart even belonged to me. Claire watched me quietly. Then she said something I wasn't prepared for. "Maybe you don't need her." I looked at her. She held my gaze. "Maybe I fit you better." Moonlight crossed through the windshield. For some stupid reason, my heart beat faster, and I remembered Claire standing beside me in that white dress. I looked away. Lily came to my apartment later that night. The moment I opened the door, she jumped into my arms. Ethan. Normally, I would have held her. This time my hands stayed at my sides. She didn't notice. She stepped inside carrying a cake box. Then she opened it at the table. I stared. Is that Mason's birthday cake? Lily froze. The color left her face. Ethan. So it is. Let me explain. I almost laughed. Which part? She looked miserable. The birthday. The fact that you skipped our wedding fitting to attend it. Ethan. All the parts where you kissed him. Her eyes widened. You saw. I looked out the window. A full moon hung over the city. Then I said, do you know what today is? She opened her mouth. Nothing. Lily. My voice was quieter than I expected. It's our 7th anniversary. Her face collapsed. I continued. That's why I chose today for the fitting. I laughed once. No humor in it. I thought it would be romantic. Tears appeared immediately. Ethan, I'm sorry. She reached for my hand. I moved mine away. Her fingers remained suspended for a second, then slowly dropped. Lily. I finally looked at her. Let's break up. Her eyes widened. No, you've left me for another man too many times. It's not like that. Then what is it? I love you. Do you? Yes. Then why am I always the person who waits? She started crying. I stayed painfully calm. 7 years ago today, we chose each other. I looked at the cake meant for Mason. And 7 years later, on the same day, you chose him. That's not fair. Maybe. I shrug. But this doesn't feel clean anymore. What does that mean? It means I don't want to drag something dead all the way to the altar. She flinched. Ethan, we should let each other go. Lily stared at me for a long time. Eventually, she stood. She didn't scream. Maybe she still thought I was just angry. At the door, she whispered, I'm leaving tonight. I said nothing. When you calm down, I'll come back. Then she walked into the dark hallway. For a long time after the door closed, I sat alone, and because people are stupid, losing, something made me remember all the good parts. Lily waiting outside my classroom. Lily grabbing my hand after school without caring who watched. Lily standing outside the school gate with a giant bouquet of white orchids. Ethan Carter. Everyone had turned. She shouted, you'll always be the best person in the world to me. I wanted to disappear from embarrassment. Then she shouted even louder, I love you. And I loved her for being fearless enough to do things I never could. She was my sunlight. At least once. I had always been physically weak as a child. Low blood sugar. Poor stamina. Too many doctor visits. Other kids noticed. Children can be cruel when they find an easy target. I became quiet. Closed off. My only real friend was a little dog I found near a park. Then Lily appeared. I was 14. She was 13. One afternoon, my blood sugar crashed while I was alone. The world went dark around the edges. Then a girl in a bright dress appeared in front of me and pushed a fruit candy into my hand. Eat this. I did. The sweetness hit almost immediately. When I finally focused again, she was smiling at me. Better. I nodded. She held out her hand. Was it sweet? Very. That candy became one of the warmest memories of my childhood. And Lily. She became the first person after my dog who made me feel like I wasn't alone. She walked the dog with me, shared snacks, defended me when people mocked my health, pulled me into conversations. 3 years later, I planted a small garden of white orchids for her. I designed her a princess dress, placed a cheap little crown on her head, kissed her cheek. Lily. She looked at me. Will you be my girlfriend? She smiled, then kissed me. That was why letting go hurt. The love had been real. At least mine had. Maybe hers once had been too. The next morning, Lily appeared at my door, carrying steamed buns from my favorite shop. I got up early. She smiled carefully. You like these? She sat me down, opened one bun, added the sweet condensed milk spread the way I liked it, then handed it to me. I hesitated. Her eyes immediately filled with hope. Eventually, I took it. Lily visibly relaxed, and for the next few days, she became the old Lily again. Attentive, warm, playful. She stayed beside me. No Mason, no mysterious errands, no broken promises. I almost believed we could go back. That's the embarrassing part. I knew what had happened. I knew what I had seen. And still, a few peaceful days were enough to make my stupid heart whisper. Maybe. Maybe she had understood. Maybe losing me scared her. Maybe 7 years deserved one more chance. One evening, I cooked dinner. Not some quick meal. A full table. Several dishes she liked. I had just finished when Lily's phone rang. She answered. At first, she was smiling. Then her expression changed. What happened? Pause. What do you mean he won't go? Another pause. I was in the kitchen, but I heard enough. Mason, sick, at home, refusing the hospital. Then the friend on the phone said one sentence, loudly enough that I heard every word. Lily, you know Mason listens to you more than anyone. That was it. Lily ended the call, put on her shoes, opened the door, then suddenly remembered I existed. She turned. Ethan. I looked at her. I have something urgent. Of course. I'll come back soon. I didn't answer. Don't wait for me. She smiled nervously. Go ahead and eat. Then she left. The door slammed. I sat at the table. The food slowly cooled. One dish, then another. Steam disappeared. The room became silent. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough that when someone finally knocked, everything I had cooked was cold. I opened the door. Claire stood outside holding a bottle of wine. Bad night. I stepped aside. She walked in like she already knew the answer. Claire and I had crossed paths at professional events before. One time, Lily had been unavailable for a design industry gala and sent Claire with me instead. Claire surprised me. I had always assumed she hated socializing. Instead, she moved through the room effortlessly. She spoke with designers, understood technical details, explained my concepts better than I sometimes did. When another designer misunderstood part of one collection, Claire clarified it into sentences. She even suggested minor details that improved several pieces. At one point, a senior designer looked at us and smiled. You two make a beautiful couple. I nearly choked on my drink. Afterward, I apologized. Sorry about that. Claire swirled the wine in her glass. For what? They misunderstood. So, you weren't uncomfortable. She looked straight at me. No, I remembered that conversation when she walked barefoot across my living room now, opened the bottle she brought, and poured two glasses. You came all the way here to drink. Claire handed me one. I thought you might need it. She was right. Lily had left because Mason was sick. Again, I had heard the call. He listens to you more than anyone. That sentence had destroyed the tiny fantasy I had built over the last few days. I raised my glass. Claire tapped hers against it. A clean little sound. Then I drank. I rarely drank, so it didn't take long before the room felt warmer. Claire moved closer. One hand settled on my shoulder. I looked at her. She looked even more striking up close. That tiny beauty mark near the corner of her eye. The calm expression, the faint flush alcohol had brought to her face. Ethan. Her voice was low. Do you think I'm beautiful? Normally, I would have found the question ridiculous. Instead, I nodded. Claire smiled. Then she asked, why don't we spend the night together? I stared at her. She kissed me before I could answer. It wasn't gentle. Years of restraint seemed to disappear all at once. She held my face and forced me to look at her. Look at me. I did. I'm not less beautiful than Lily. No, I understand you better. My breathing was uneven. Claire pulled me closer. I fit you better than she does. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the heartbreak. Maybe part of me had already stopped seeing Lily as mine. Claire whispered, Ethan. I looked at her. Can I? I nodded. And that night, I stopped waiting for Lily Whitmore. I woke around noon. Claire was still beside me. For someone who seemed untouchable in public, she slept. Curled against me, like she had no intention of ever moving. She slowly opened her eyes. You're awake. Before I could answer, the bedroom door flew open. Lily stood there. Her eyes went straight to Claire. Then me. Then the obvious evidence that she had arrived several hours too late. What are you doing? I sat up. Lily. Claire was quicker. She wrapped one arm around my neck, pulled me toward her, kissed me, right in front of Lily. Then she raised an eyebrow. Do you really need an explanation? Lily shook. Claire. Her voice broke. How could you seduce your own sister's boyfriend? Claire's expression cooled instantly. Boyfriend? He broke up with you. We're fixing things. Claire laughed. You mean while you were fixing Mason's fever last night? Lily's face twisted. I'm telling Dad. Claire's eyes changed. Not fear. Disgust. I'll have him throw you out of the Whitmore family. Now Claire actually laughed. Throw me out. She sat up. Lily, you still haven't figured out whose family this really is. Lily went silent. Claire continued. We're not full sisters. I already knew that. Same father. Different mothers. But Claire had never spoken about it like this. The Whitmore estate belonged to my mother. Lily's face went pale. So did the original company. Claire, you and your mother came later. Her voice sharpened. Your mother was Dad's mistress. Lily clenched her fists. Don't call her that. What would you prefer? Claire's smile disappeared. She moved into my mother's home 2 months after my mother died. Lily turned toward me. Ethan. Tears spilled down her face. Do you hear her? I looked at her. Claire is using you. Claire went still. This is revenge. Lily pointed at her sister. She hates me because she hates my mother. Her voice became desperate. She seduced you to hurt me. Claire's hand tightened beneath the blanket. Lily continued. She doesn't love you. She wants revenge. You're just a tool. I got dressed, then stood in front of Lily. We broke up. She stared at me. For a few days. I thought maybe we could fix it. Her face brightened for half a second. But then Mason called. That light disappeared. You left again. Ethan, he was sick. I know. He refused the hospital. I know. What was I supposed to do? I looked at her. That question is exactly why we're done. She started crying harder. You don't mean that. I do. You belong to me. No, you do. Her voice cracked. You can only be mine. I was tired. Lily, go home. She stared at Claire, then at me. Finally, she turned and left. The door closed. Claire came up behind me. Her arms circled my waist. Ethan. I removed her hands. Then I picked up a robe from the floor and handed it to her. You got what you wanted. Claire frowned. What? Lily is hurt. I looked at her. Mission accomplished. Her mouth tightened. I didn't use you. I said nothing. Ethan. Her voice dropped. I'm serious about you. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. For the first time, Claire looked genuinely hurt, and that bothered me more than I wanted it to. Claire eventually told me the story she almost never told anyone. Her mother had once owned much of what people now called the Whitmore family empire. The company, the house, the assets. Claire had been 7 when her mother died in a car crash. She stayed beside the coffin 4 days. Barely ate, barely slept. 2 months later, her father brought another woman into the house, and a 6-year-old girl, Lily, his hidden daughter. Claire was forced out of her large bedroom. Lily got the better room. Claire's mother's house slowly filled with somebody else's laughter. Then one day, Claire overheard a conversation she was never supposed to hear. Her father, her stepmother, enough to convince a 7-year-old girl that her mother's crash had not been some random accident. There had been money involved, control of the company, property, ownership. From that day forward, Claire learned how to survive quietly. She was too young to fight, so she studied piano, dance, business, languages, everything her father valued, not because she loved all of it, because praise from him meant access. Access meant the company. The company meant one day she might become strong enough to take back what her mother had left. Suddenly, pieces of my childhood looked different. I remembered visiting Lily's house. Claire would be sitting at a piano practicing. Old dress, slightly too tight because she had grown. Shoes already worn. Upstairs, Lily had closets full of new clothes. Once, I stared at Claire for too long. Lily grabbed my hand. Come on. She dragged me upstairs. Claire's boring. I remembered her rolling her eyes. She's always studying because she wants Dad to praise her. Then Lily smiled proudly. But it doesn't matter how hard she tries. She opened another gift. I'm still Dad's favorite. At the time, I thought it was normal sibling rivalry. Now I wondered how many times Claire heard things like that and said nothing. That same day, Lily gave me an expensive bag of dog food. For your dog. She smiled. I heard this is the best kind. Back then, I thought she had remembered my dog because she cared. Now I wasn't sure which details in my life Lily had ever remembered on her own. Claire's eyes were damp by the time she finished speaking. She looked away. I stayed quiet. After a while, she stood. So you don't believe me? It wasn't really a question. Claire. She shook her head. Don't. She gathered her things, then left. The apartment became painfully silent. The dinner from the previous night was still sitting untouched, cold, just like everything else I had spent years trying to save. Claire moved out of the Whitmore house shortly afterward. Then, for reasons I didn't understand at first, she bought the place next to mine, and somehow we barely saw each other. She worked constantly. So did I. I threw myself into design. A national competition opened. One submitted a collection, then spent weeks surviving on coffee, sketches, fabric samples, and bad decisions. I won second place. Then something better happened. A major fashion company saw my work. They offered me a contract and wanted to build a new sub-label around my designs. I stared at the contract for almost 10 minutes before believing it was real. After years of waiting for Lily, chasing Lily, adjusting my life around Lily's schedule, I suddenly had something that was mine, and I became obsessed with it. New collection, brand meetings, production, revisions, campaign concepts. I worked constantly. Then one afternoon, someone told me people were waiting in my studio. Lily and Mason. That was awkward. Mason looked almost the same as before. T-shirt, ripped jeans, still carrying that young musician energy. Lily looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes. Tired, thin. She stared at me like she hadn't slept properly in weeks. Mason spoke first. I know you misunderstand my relationship with Lily. I almost laughed. He continued. But we're innocent. I raised an eyebrow. Innocent. He cleared his throat. Apparently even he remembered the beach kiss. Lily rushed forward and grabbed my hand. Ethan. I immediately wanted it back. Please believe me. Her voice shook. Claire is using you. Mason looked away. Lily continued quickly. She hates me because my mother took her father away from her mother. Lily. She wants revenge. Her grip tightened. You're part of it. I pulled my hand free. Her expression broke. Ethan. She doesn't really love you. She just wants to take something from me. You're not something she can take. I know. Then come back. She started crying. I promise I'll never leave you again. I'll love you properly. Please. Every word felt like a tiny needle. Not because I wanted her back. Because she was destroying the last beautiful memories I still had of us. I had never regretted loving Lily before. The happiness had been real. The childhood memories had been real. Her smile at 13 had been real. I wanted to keep those things. But now she was turning our past into something ugly. Lily. She stopped. There's no possibility left. Her face went blank. Because of Claire. No. Do you love her? I sighed. This isn't about Claire. Then what? You. She stared. You destroyed this. I said it calmly. You kept Mason on one side and me on the other. That's not. You wanted him whenever he needed you. And you wanted me waiting whenever you came back. Her lips trembled. You don't get both. Ethan. People don't get everything they want. I looked at Mason. Then back at her. The price of being greedy is eventually losing both. She shook her head violently. No. Yes. No. I love you. Then what is Mason? Silence. For the first time, Lily looked behind her. Mason's face changed. He looked tired too. Hurt. Like maybe he had finally realized he had been living inside the same fantasy from the opposite direction. Lily looked back at me. Will you really never forgive me? I nodded. No hesitation. And when she started crying again, my heart stayed quiet. That scared me a little, then relieved me. I was finally done. My work got busier after the new label launched. Customers responded well, better than we expected. That meant more designs, more deadlines, more pressure. And because I am apparently incapable of learning one lesson at a time, I started skipping meals. One afternoon, my blood sugar crashed. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. I turned my head. Claire was sitting beside me. She handed me water. You're awake. I took it. Thank you. Only then did I notice the small cake on the table. I frowned. Claire suddenly looked almost embarrassed. It's your birthday. I stared at her. I had forgotten my own birthday. She hadn't. I was coming over with the cake. She looked irritated. Then I found you unconscious outside your door instead. Sorry. You should be. I smiled weakly. Then something occurred to me. How did you remember? Claire gave me a strange look. I always remember. She hesitated, then said, actually, the birthday gifts Lily gave you every year. I looked at her. What about them? I prepared them. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. The signed photo from that designer you admired. My smile disappeared. The discontinued film collection. I stared. The scholarship application to the elite design program. My chest tightened. All of them. Claire nodded. Lily didn't have the patience to research things like that. She smiled faintly. She'd ask me, what does Ethan like? Can you find something for him? Can you handle it? And I did. I didn't know what to say. I had spent years loving Lily even harder because I thought those gifts proved how carefully she understood me. A signed photo that had taken months to locate. A rare movie collection I mentioned once. A design opportunity I thought Lily had researched because she believed in me. Claire had done all of it. Why? I asked. She looked at me, then smiled. She was a spoiled little princess, thinking that carefully about somebody else was never really her thing. That's not what I asked. Claire's ears turned pink. I had never seen that before. She looked away. I wanted to. My heart did something annoyingly soft. I liked preparing them. Then she slowly reached for my hand. This time, I didn't pull away. Ethan. Her fingers wrapped around mine. Will you believe me once? I looked at her, then squeezed her hand. Yes. A few nights later, Somebody knocked on my door close to midnight. I opened it. Claire stood there slightly drunk, hair loose, eyes brighter than usual. She leaned against the frame. Ethan. Yes. She smiled lazily. Open the door. It's already open. She considered that. Then nodded seriously. Good. I laughed. Claire stepped closer. I'm Lily's older sister. I'm aware. I'm very responsible, debatable, and beautiful. That part's true. Her smile widened. I put one hand around her waist. Claire, stop talking nonsense. Then I kissed her. This time, there was no anger, no Lily, no revenge, no cold dinner sitting on a table. Just us. Later, Claire lay against my chest. I told her, I'm going overseas in a few days. Her fingers slipped beneath the edge of my shirt. I know. There's an international design competition. I know. If I place well, it could help the new brand. I know. I looked down. Do you know everything? Yes. Annoying. Also yes. I kissed her forehead. While I was overseas, Claire became very busy. She never complained about it on our video calls. Every time I saw her, she looked calm. Bright room, neat clothes, same composed smile. Meanwhile, social media told a much uglier story. Claire had removed her father from his position as chairman. Then legal proceedings followed. Financial records, corruption allegations, misappropriation. The whole Whitmore empire started shaking. Her stepmother appeared outside company headquarters, screaming that Claire was an ungrateful daughter trying to destroy her own father. Claire never mentioned it during our calls. Then her father was convicted and sent to prison. Claire removed her stepmother and Lily from the family estate. No payout, no large settlement, nothing from the property Claire maintained belonged to her mother's side. People online had opinions, a lot of opinions. Claire still didn't mention it. During calls, she asked, "Did you eat?" "Yes." "You're lying." "I ate." "What?" "Coffee." "That isn't food." Technically, I had chosen an intimidating woman. I was okay with it. 2 months later, I won an award at the international competition. The brand organized a huge celebration after I returned. Claire promised she would attend. Then, the day of the party, I received a message. "Ethan, something came up at the company. I can't go with you. I'm sorry." I stared at the screen, and my heart sank. Completely irrational. Immediately, every old memory came back. Lily, the bridal boutique, 5 hours, cold dinner, Mason. Something came up. I hated myself for reacting like that. Claire wasn't Lily. But trauma doesn't always ask permission. Before repeating old lines in your head, I went to the party alone. A colleague found me. "Why do you look miserable?" "I don't." "You absolutely do." Then he grinned. "Do you know the secret investor is here tonight?" I frowned. Secret investor? You didn't know. Apparently our sub-label had received significant backing from someone whose identity had been kept confidential. Before I could ask more, the brand director stepped onto the stage. Lights dimmed. Then a spotlight moved toward the staircase on the second floor. I looked up. Claire appeared. She was holding a bouquet of red roses. I just stared. She descended slowly, step by step, until she reached me. Then she held out the flowers. "Congratulations, Ethan." The entire room started cheering. I looked around. Only then did I notice the decorations. Roses, everywhere. Red roses. Claire was the secret investor. The woman who told me she couldn't attend had funded the brand that gave my designs a real chance. I accepted the bouquet. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Then Claire leaned toward me. Still angry I couldn't come. "A little. Good." She smiled. "You look cute when you're annoyed." Years earlier, on Valentine's Day, Lily had given me white orchids. She had been delighted with herself. Men can get flowers too. I accepted them, smiled, said thank you. Claire happened to be nearby. She bumped my arm. The bouquet fell. Then somehow one of her heels landed directly on it. Twice. She looked down. Oh, then at me. "Sorry." I stared. Claire added casually. "They're cheap flowers anyway. You won't mind, right?" At the time, I thought she was being rude. At the celebration party years later, she sat beside me after performing on the piano. The sunset outside painted the room orange-red. Her fingers had moved across the keys with the same control she brought to everything else. When she finished, I asked, "How did you know I don't like white orchids?" Claire smiled. "Because when Lily gave them to you, you frowned." "That's it. That's enough." She leaned back. Lily always got too absorbed in the fact that she was giving you something. She liked being the person doing the romantic gesture. Claire looked at me. But she rarely asked what you actually wanted. That hit harder than it should have. Because it was true. Lily loved loving me in the way she enjoyed. Claire noticed the things I didn't say. I watched her for a moment, then asked, Claire, yes, I still don't completely understand something. What? Why me? Her expression changed. Your feelings. I shook my head. Where did they come from? As far as I remembered, Claire barely looked at me when we were younger. Whenever I visited the Whitmore house, she stayed distant. A glance, a nod, maybe a few words. Then she would go back to practicing. Claire squeezed my hand. Do you remember your dog? I froze. Of course I remembered him. That little dog had been my first real companion. Before Lily. Before dating. Before any of this. When other kids made fun of my health and left me sitting alone beneath a tree. The little dog wandered up to me, tail wagging, tongue out. He licked my hand like we had known each other forever. I searched for an owner, never found one, so I took him home. He became my best friend. He never laughed because I was weak, never abandoned me to play with somebody more interesting. He sat with me when I was sick, walked beside me when I was lonely. Then one day, years later, a car accident took him from me. I'd mourn that dog harder than some people mourn human relationships. Claire's voice pulled me back. He was mine. I stared. What? He was a gift from my mother. My entire body went still. Before she died, Claire's voice became soft. She brought him home for me. Then her mother died. And shortly afterward, Claire's stepmother moved into the house. The woman claimed she was allergic to dogs. One day, while Claire wasn't home, she had the dog taken away. Claire came back and found him gone. I cried 4 days. She smiled softly. I searched everywhere. Then one afternoon, she saw me. A thin, sickly boy sitting in the grass, holding her missing dog, petting his head, laughing. I was going to take him back. Claire looked at me. But then I saw him with you. He was happy. Her voice shook slightly. And you were happy. I hadn't smiled like that in a long time. Claire looked down at our joined hands. So I thought. She paused. Maybe you were the person he was supposed to find. I couldn't speak. I started visiting sometimes, secretly, to check on him. She laughed. Or at least that's what I told myself. I stared at her. She had known me before Lily. Much earlier. Claire continued. And that fruit candy Lily gave you when your blood sugar dropped. My chest tightened. What about it? It was mine. I blinked. Claire smiled. She took it from me. The candy, the dog, the birthday gifts. All those tiny pieces of my childhood and adulthood that I had tied to Lily had Claire's fingerprints on them. Claire's eyes became wet. I knew you before she did. You were lonely. So was I. You loved that dog because he didn't abandon you. I loved watching you with him because your smile reminded me that maybe something my mother left behind could still make somebody happy. She moved closer. I think I loved you long before I understood what that meant. I swallowed. Claire, we were both lonely kids. She touched my face, both standing outside other people's happiness. Her voice dropped, and somehow, without knowing it, we kept giving each other little pieces of warmth. I didn't have a clever answer, no dramatic speech, no philosophy. I just pulled her closer. Claire kissed my cheek, then my jaw, then my lips, and for once, I stopped wondering whether I was making the wrong choice. I wrapped my arms around her waist. She smiled against my mouth. Ethan, what? Remember the wedding dress? I laughed. The dress that started all of this. The dress Lily never bothered to try. The dress Claire wore instead. I looked at her. You were right. About what? The dress. Claire raised an eyebrow. I pulled her closer. It matched my suit. Yes, and you. Her smile faded into something softer. Claire. I kissed her forehead. You're the person who fits that dress best. And this time, when I imagined someone walking toward me in white, the face I saw was hers. This story is entirely fictional and created for entertainment purposes. All characters, relationships, workplaces, medical circumstances, financial events, investigations, and legal outcomes are invented for dramatic storytelling.